Hey there guys, Lord Frigid here with the third episode of Aether Raid's Offense. I'm actually pretty happy about the lineup I have for this video. The battles I got in the second half of the week were much more interesting than those in the first half, so look forward to that. As with the last video, I'll give about 1 minute to look at these timestamps, and these will also be available in the descriptions and comment section. And again, I hope you enjoy, and thank you very much for watching. So this battle is going to be a bit of a weird case, where unfortunately my commentary recording, something went wrong with it. I'm not sure what it was, but it was basically unusable, but this map is very well designed in my opinion, and difficult to approach, and it was a pretty fun battle, if I'm being perfectly honest, and I did want to showcase it. So I'm going to do a post-battle commentary over this one. It might be a little weird, since the actions I'm performing on the screen are not always going to match up with what I'm saying, but I think it's worth it. So as you can see, this is a pretty difficult to approach map. Like, I guess if you had a Gale Force team, then yeah, not that bad at all. But I don't have a Gale Force team on light weeks. Well, I actually usually have a Gale Force team in my first slot, no matter what I do, but this time I'm testing out that Aegis Sita build, and you'll see that that's actually eventually what I end up using here. But basically, I don't have my Gale Force set up, so that wasn't an option. And Faye, my usual go-to, is also not very well suited for this map, since Clarine cannot be counterattacked with Dazzling Pain, and the only other ranged unit is Nino. What you might see me doing now is focusing on this spot kind of around the Aether Fountain and Tactics Room. That is one of the couple vulnerabilities that I noticed with this map. The other being that as you can break the block below the healing tower and then snap a zero over it. But I chose to exploit this spot below the Tactics Room, which only Clarine and Eldigan can hit. I determined that because of Nino's rally, and because Clarine cannot be counterattacked, there is really no possible way for Hector to reach that spot without Eldigan, to reach that spot unless Eldigan manages to lunge the enemy towards him. And that is just because Nino will rally Eldigan before Eldigan attacks, and one of the refreshers will use their action on Nino. And Clarine will attack before anyone because she has a combat matchup that isn't a horrible loss to Sita, who, as I mentioned before, is the unit I end up using to kind of tank on this map. And the other refresher's action will go to her, and then Hector can't move 4 spaces, so so the reality is he can't reach that spot, and that is what I took advantage of. So I am going to go ahead and just skip up to when this battle begins. Alright, so here we go. The first thing I'm going to do is start getting into position to put Sita in the area around that Tactics Room. I am going to leave her kind of far away initially, because I want to test this bolt trap next to the bolt tower. It does turn out to be real. So, actually, I'm not sure it really mattered, because I have 2 heirs, and I'm pretty sure I spent at least 2 turns setting up anyway. But it's just something nice to keep in mind. Keep your tank out of the range of possible bolt traps if you can do it without jeopardizing your turn limit there. I was originally going to try and get Sita and Kaden into those 2 untargetable spots in the same column as that Aether Fountain. I do eventually decide to put Sita just below the Tactics Room, and above, so between the Tactics Room and the Offense Fort, and then have Kaden just below the fort. Did I say Offense Fort? I meant Defense Fort. I apologize for that. Sorry if that caused any confusion. The idea there is that Caden, the previous turn, I will have him end his phase next to Azura, so he'll receive a +7 buff. And then, when I put him below the defense fort and put Sita above the defense fort, Caden will then project his buffs onto Sita, and I will use Azura to copy over the +7 buff on his attack to all of his other stats, and that is one of the key aspects of this victory here. The other key aspect, or well, there are two more key aspects. The first is the changes that the developers made to the Spring Breeze map. If you weren't aware, those two breakable blocks, kind of one below the healing tower, one below Clarine, actually used to be solid columns, just like the ones in the lower half of the map, right to the right of the Fae statue, and then the other one to the right of Air. If that had been the case here, I don't think this would have been a successful battle. The other factor is Azura, their Azura, the one with the axe, has attack tactic. And when Hector moves, he moves towards Sita, duh. And he moves into the range of my Panic Manor, which causes that attack buff to be reversed. So what ends up happening is now Hector cannot one-shot Sita. He can't one-shot 52 HP Sita anyway, but because Caden is 2 spaces away from Sita, when Clarine attacks Sita, the pain damage and the double Savage Blow damage actually goes to Caden, whereas Sita only receives the pain damage. As a result, Caden is the unit who has taken the most damage on my team at the beginning of the next player phase, so he receives all of the sparkling boost healing from Air, and Sita receives none of it. So Sita will basically start the turn with only 32 HP after having taken 2 shots of pain, and Hector, with that attack buff, can certainly one-shot 32 HP on a red unit. Let's see, is there anything I can talk about while I wait for myself to get a move on here?
Let's go.
I don't think so.
Lovely.
Fortunately, it looks like my timing was alright. Okay, so one interesting thing here that I noted is that Clarine actually attacked Sita before Nino rallied Eldigan. I'm still not really sure why that is, actually. But, I mean, it didn't really matter. And I guess the other thing I note here, you see there, Hector moves right in and breaks that block, allowing Sita to attack him from that nice new open, guaranteed to not be a trap space. Worked out quite well for me. The other thing I note is that Azura and Olivia cannot deal damage to Sita if she has gotten attack smoke on them, and she has at least a +1 defense buff. So my Azura has Earth Dance. I'm using that. Normally she uses Hone Speed for the Gale Force raiding party, but in this case I figured, well, maybe there's going to be a case where she's not adjacent to the person I want to have buffs on, so I'll just give her Earth Dance. And that worked out very well here. The other thing I note is that
I can help.
right now Azura has a reversed... his Azura, his or her, I don't... The Azura with the axe has a reversed attack buff, value of 4, so, and has 37 attack right now, normally 41, and that's from Nino's rally attack. And with Def Tactic and Fort Advantage, Caden actually has 41 defense. So what you're going to see here is I'm going to attack Hector with Sita, take him out, and then smite Azura onto that potential heavy trap. It does turn out to be the real heavy trap. And then have Sita KO Nino. Now, as I mentioned, with a defense buff of at least +1, none of the remaining enemies will be able to deal damage to her. Additionally, Azura will not be able to deal damage to Kaden. So when I reposition Azura away to get her to safety, there is absolutely no way any of my units will be able to die. And that was the key to victory here. So maybe at some point I will get a move on here. Or, well, actually, no, I'll just skip up a little bit. Hold on, give me a sec. Alright, so here I am finally about to do something. So like I mentioned, Sita takes out Hector, and then Air smites Azura onto that trap, which does turn out to be real. And then I'll have Azura perform a quick sing operation, and then I do need to get my Azura out of the range of his Azura, because the combination of Pain and Triangle Adept on that Axe Azura is going to make that a very winnable matchup. So I'm going to go ahead and just do that. So I think I take out Nano first and then reposition my Azura. And then after that, something really interesting happens. I'm not quite sure what the rules are for how a Pain Staff user chooses their target. I was initially under the impression that Clarine would go after Kaden as the lowest res target there, and just kind of stick to him as a result of that. But what ended up happening was she went after Sita first, reduced her to 1 HP, and then went after Kaden as the only other unit in range. And after that, she moved on to Azura. So I'm kind of wondering if actually I have no hypotheses yet. I'm gonna have to work on seeing what I think there. And of course, it doesn't really matter, because as I mentioned, neither of the refreshers can actually deal any damage to the units that they can reach. But yeah, you can see that I'm really not entirely sure how Clarine wound up choosing her targets. But yeah, I mean, now that
Let's go.
now that the main threats are down, like I said, it's not super significant. It's just something I'd like to figure out to improve my own AI prediction. So here is, I forgot that Azura was right there, ready to hit the Aether on 4A, and I repositioned Arian to do the job. And then I finished up Olivia, so that is the map. Whew, what a doozy. Okay, so let's go ahead and grab a matchup here. Alright, whoa, that's a lot of range damage. Hello. That's interesting. Oh, okay. So Maribel, Pain, Jacob, interesting. Ophelia, okay, basic setup there. Blazing Wind instead of her usual Blazing Light, that's different. No weapon, Azura, which means no buff. The buffs can't be copied to other stats. Infantry and flyers will still get their extra movement point from Grey Waves. Sigurd, pretty standard set there. Alright, and then Surtur with Rally Speed Def. Kind of figured. Do I have forward advantage? Oh, I do, okay. So that's nice. How should I approach this? So, I guess one thing I could do is just use Faye. I just drop her right here and then kind of wait for things to happen. Sigurd has lunge. How would that play out, actually? So you would rally her, and then she would attack. and then you would get you would get refreshed. Okay, this is restore. Oh, that complicates things. Huh. Does it though? Does it really? I'm not sure. I guess it kind of depends on whether she chooses to restore Jacob, who is afflicted by the tactics room, or Ophelia, who is afflicted by the panic manor. I would guess that if I put Faye here, since Ophelia is the only unit who can actually attack, my guess is that Maribel would restore Ophelia and then immediately be sung, and then she'd go off to restore Jacob or Sigurd, because their AI prioritizes restore over attacking. Okay. One thing I might also consider is trying to trip this before I initiate. That way, Sigurd won't be able to do any sort of lunge shenanigans to separate my team up. Or, well, to lunge onto this, which is, I suspect, the true bolt trap. Okay, so I don't think I have a team better suited to dealing with this map than that. The only other thing I might be able to consider is smiting someone over onto this tile and trying to snipe Surtur, but I don't think that would work because of all of these two units also threaten that space. So yeah, let's try. Although interestingly, if I did break that, Maribel would be able to attack this spot. Huh. Do I want her to be able to attack that spot? Oh, goodness. I mean, I have... This is light season, I have air. I could theoretically do it. And then it becomes a question of, do I want to? You have aerobatics? You do. So if I did do that, there would be rallies involved. Huh. It's probably safer to just go here. So I'll do that. No weird panic shenanigans, no versa. Okay, so I can have allies adjacent if I need them to be. So let's go ahead and get this party started.
Let's play.
All right. So first things first, I'm gonna go ahead and let's see. Do I want to try and trip this bolt trap first? Actually, what's going to happen here? If I just let Maribel kind of wander around for a turn, what would she do? I suspect... Okay, well, there's a couple options. One, she just restores Jacob, and then Azura can't reach her, so the turn ends. The other option is that she goes for Ophelia, and then gets sung to by Azura, and then goes for one of these two. Either way... Well, if she ends up here... Which she wouldn't. She'd just go back here if you were to restore Jacob afterward. Okay. So I don't really see much of a point in trying to wait that restore out and see what it does, because I don't think it's going to change the positioning for the better or worse. So the question becomes, do I want to try and trip that trap? I kind of do.
I can help.
How would I do it? I doubt this would affect Faye. If this heavy trap is real, I don't think it would affect Faye. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Okay, it's not even real. And then I believe if I sing to Caden, or dance for Caden, and then
Caress.
smite him up there. It's real. 30 damage. Yeah, he'd just be able to walk out.
Lovely. Sure thing. Try my best. The glimmer
So,
of life.
I believe now Maribel will definitely restore Ophelia. And then... Okay, from 1, 2, 3... Yeah, she definitely can't KO anyone. Except for maybe air. Well, no, not even air, because Caden's projecting a res buff onto her. Actually, that's probably the trap for this map. To get somebody to try and trip the bullet trap, and then Maribel does her restore business, and then comes down and snipes someone. Except my units have a lot of res. Guess what? It's light week. So let's go ahead and do that. And I'm pretty sure she prioritized restore anyway, so I don't think it matters. So she's just gonna go with Sigurd, yeah. And the AI is not even gonna aggro, because that's not how the AI works. Let's see. So this is real. Then. You know, I kind of wish that Maribel had ended up in a location where she'd be able to attack my units. Because that would make the AI... force the AI to come at me. As it stands... Well, Maribel's going to prioritize restoring over anything else. So I suspect that either Jacob... Either Jacob or Surtur is going to get this Grey Waves, I'm pretty sure, because Azura can't move unless Maribel moves in such a way as to be in her range. So she'd have to restore Ophelia from here, which I don't think she would do. I think she would restore her from here. So then Ophelia gets rallied by one of these two. I would guess that Surtur rallies first and then receives the Sing. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and try and get this combat started here.
All right.
That ought to do it.
The glimmer, death's caress.
So Maribel should restore. I have to restore to Azura. Okay, and she prefers to continue restoring. And then Surtur rallies first, as I expected. And Ophelia comes out with her Blazing Wind that does absolutely nothing and just gets sniped. Nice! Okay. Oh, Sigurd with the reposition. Now, here's the thing. I know this is fake. Oh, but Micaiah can't reach it because she's affected by the tactics room. Darn. Gonna shoot him. Ha! Sucks for you, man. Okay, how should I do this? Does it matter if I don't get buffs off?
All right.
Probably not.
Okay.
I'm thinking I can just do this for free. I should break this to make it a little bit easier for my allies to get to Faye, so they can bail her out if need be. Let's see, what else can I do with this position here? I think I can I safely do this? Can I safely move Micaiah up and have Faye break the tactics room? The question is, well, let's see. As long as Maribel doesn't move here to restore Surtur, she will be the recipient of Grey Waves. So really, Restore is this map's undoing, because Maribel is just kind of sitting around here chewing up Azura's action while the other units mindlessly advance, or rally, or whatever the case may be. So that's one thing to look out for. I don't think Jacob would be able to... Well, Azura is threatened by Faye. He could theoretically rally her. And if he rallies from here, then he can move up too, and then he'd be able to hit this spot. And I don't want him hitting that spot, because he would totally destroy Micaiah. So one thing I could try is... No, better not to risk it. I don't think I can get Micaiah safely out of here with this positioning. So I could just block this area, and then Jacob would be forced to guidance in an attack because he can. Unless Maribel was to do it. Unless Maribel goes to restore him and then gets sung to by Azura. I wouldn't mind that, to be perfectly honest.
Summer's here.
Let's try that.
Alright.
I'm gonna smite Caden over here.
Sure thing.
Get some buff projection going. Restored. Restored again. And then, oh, okay, so he does attack. And dead. Okay, sweet. Now I can safely snipe Surtur from over this. And then, interestingly enough, you will restore Azura, affected by the tactics room, and then you'll get sung, Grey Wavesed, and then you will attack one of my units. Doesn't really matter which. I know that's real. It's going to cancel my attack. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to go ahead and break that and do that. So you will attack either Micaiah or Faye. Doesn't matter because you can't kill either of them. I suspect Micaiah. Yeah, okay. Oh, you can deal damage to Micaiah, so that's good reason to target her. And then Don Suzu is going to obliterate you. Bye-bye. And then I'm basically home free now. So I can break this, and then I can do that, and then, what turn am I on? 5? Okay, I've got plenty of time. I do that, and that. And for the grand finale, I just break this, and shoot her. And that was that map. So yeah, that's something to keep in mind when you see a restore trap. If there's a dancer involved, then if you have your debuff set up properly, then you will actually be able to just keep the dancer and restore staff user busy, running around restoring their allies while the bulk of the team just kind of advances mindlessly at you. It's very nice.